if I was a business, or if I were to adopt a data fabric, what are the sort of characteristics or the layers that one might see or should look out for? Just as an example, what are the kind of how is it made up and so on?
Okay, yeah. So the kind of architectural components of the data fabric, I guess, are basically basically three layers. Okay, so the first layer is your kind of the integration piece of this. Okay, so the primary part of that, I think, really is data virtualization. So your data virtualization layer is the layer that enables you to reach through to other sources of data in real time, and present them back to you in a common form. So it enables you to kind of to give access to data from all these various different types of sources, whether it's from from an application in the cloud that's giving back JSON data, whether it's from a traditional database on premise, or whether it's a weblog or whatever it is. The virtualization layer is designed to provide you the ability to connect through to this data at its source. Okay. In addition to that, the virtualization layer also needs to be able to provide things like access control, user controls, and also be able to do intelligent things like joining, like the joins you would normally get from a traditional database. So it needs to optimize the way in which the data is accessed, so that it knows where possible. It can do push down logic, for example, so it can maybe do joins and things at the source databases where they come from, and join them locally if that's more efficient at other times. So that virtualization layer is very, very important. But in supporting the virtualization layer, there's also the need for other traditional technologies like CDC and ETL as well. So your integration kind of fabric, if you like, has some traditional technologies in it, and also these newer technologies like data virtualization as well, to help bring the data to the fore through use. Okay. The next layer after that is the data catalog. So the data catalog is the important piece of this, because this is the view of the users to the data that they want to access. Okay, so most organizations these days if they don't already have one, are considering having a data catalog, and within the catalog we need to store two different types of data. So we need to store obviously the technical metadata that describes the structure and the type of the data at its source location. Okay, but then it also needs to have like a business layer, a business context on top of that as well, that is used to provide kind of more kind of business information that enables you to understand and go and find that data. So if you're a technician and you understand you understand tables and columns, you can use the technical metadata to go and find that. But if not, if you're more of a business user or a power user, then you can use the kind of the semantic layer that's provided by the business metadata to be able to go and find that information as well. Okay, but the catalog also needs to provide some other things in there as well. So it needs to provide some other capabilities, such as being able to redact sensitive data or to hide data, and to generally control who can see what, where, and when. Okay, and that usually should be kind of user and role based. In addition to that, finally as well, most catalogs these days, so we'll talk about having this information here, this capability here, is also about being able to profile your data and understand the contents of it. Okay, so this is part of the consistent and trust element of the data fabric. So you need to be able to really understand what the data looks like, how trustworthy is it used by others, are there many errors in it, all of those other kind of things as well. So we expect the catalog layer to take care of that for you. Okay. Expanding a little bit more on the data protection side of it, we've got the piece that says, well, I'm not going to let you access this because you're a user, and I won't show you that it exists, and I'll also won't necessarily let you access that. But there's also kind of more active data protection, and we're talking there about looking at how we manage things like GDPR, personal data, sensitive data that shouldn't be seen or accessed. So there's a layer really that takes care of that data protection for you, that should be enacted in real time. So if someone goes to access some data from a particular source, the setup and the properties that are created in your catalog will determine whether a piece of data is redacted or obscured or in some way changed to stop people accessing stuff that they should not really be using, or is not right for them to use. Okay. And then finally, on the top of that, there's the kind of presentation layer really, which exposes these, the data to the actual users. And the idea again here is that we want to abstract people from the fact that it might be JSON or XML or whatever it is, and just have it look like a normal kind of relational database. So the presentation layer takes care not only of you being able to log in and your access rights, but also just presents that data. And that can be presented in a number of ways, either through maybe an ODBC connection, JDBC, or maybe through HTTP, REST interfaces, or whatever it is that the demands of your user group need to access data. Okay, I think finally the most important thing to understand is that all these layers need to be tightly integrated. Okay, so they need to be woven into each other. If they're not properly integrated, or if they come from lots of different kind of best of breed technologies, you can spend a lot of time trying to weave all this together. So it's important really to find, as part of your solution, to find a solution that kind of weaves together these core layers, so you're not spending time having to put that together yourself.
Okay, fine. So I guess the users could, just to recap on that, they could still use their good old tools such as Cognos, Tableau, Click, whatever BI, Power BI, whatever tool they want to overlay on top of this, so they don't have to kind of throw the baby out the bath, so to speak. They can carry on quite happily with all of those same tools if they adopt this fabric.
Yeah, yes, and very much that's the kind of the idea of it, right?
Yeah,
so it's about really protecting that investment in your existing tools. So instead of, just say Cognos, for example, connecting straight to your, to your data warehouse now, if you connect it through the data lake, you're able to then provide some extra layers of protection, but also it also enables you to be more flexible about maybe changing your mind about where the source of data will come from down the line. Okay, so the customer just sees, the end user or the Cognos reporting will just see, your data warehouse virtualized connection, but behind the scenes you can then, from a technology point of view, you should be able to then change where that's actually pointing to without the customer having to change their end product.
Okay, thanks.